Hello, everyone. What is going on? My name is Timpedia, and welcome to the third Magic the Gathering special edition of the TNT podcast. We're missing Tyler today, but we have Friedman here.
Yeah, it's good to join you. Unfortunately, Tyler had to sleep through this entire Magic section of the sub podcast.
Yeah, technically he's on the call, but he's just passed out, and we're doing this while we knew he'd be asleep. But we're going to talk about a few Magic topics we've wanted to talk about. I'd like to start doing at least one of these every time a set comes out. Maybe do, like, instead of special number 3, this will be called the Rivals of Ixalan special. But we'll also talk about other stuff that's happening.
set review or something.
Yeah.
Or TN.
Or we'll do, like, a Magic update for Rivals of Ixalan, because then we can talk about other things.
Yeah, definitely.
At some points, I might leave the screen on. So if you're watching on YouTube, you might not just see the TNT logo the whole time.
Yeah, actually see which cards we're talking about for once.
Yeah. But today we're going to cover a few things. We're going to talk about Rivals of Ixalan finally. It's been out for just over a week now. And I've bought a few cards and been thinking about cards I'd like to brew with someday. And Freeman, I'm sure you've been doing the same thing.
Yeah, basically been doing just a bunch of tweaks to all my decks. Like, I haven't actually bought any cards since, I think, Amonkhet came out. So there's a lot of little tweaks I need to make to all my decks, but I was waiting for Rivals to come out first before I bought anything.
Yep.
Just because there is some decent stuff in here.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. I've bought a few packs. Val's getting a few vampires for Edgar deck. I've bought my cards that I need. But we're just going to kind of do a set review, mostly focused on Commander, since that's what we play at this point. We'll talk about Standard a little bit if we feel like it, and I know Freeman might bring up Modern.
Yeah, maybe not with this set, but...
I got a Steam message that made a noise. Whoops. Anyway. And then we're also going to talk about the Standard bannings that happened a week ago from Monday.
It already feels like an eternity, but I think it's just been a week. We're maybe on the second week since the ban.
That's what I mean. Like,
yeah.
Tomorrow it'll be 2 weeks. Right?
Yes.
Okay. And then we're also going to talk about the Great Designer Search, because there was people have started posting the questions that they were asked, because the first round and second round have both concluded already, and the NDA was only for the test. So now people are talking about it, and we'll probably chime in, talk about some Estee questions, some interesting multiple choice questions, because people have posted a lot of the stuff online. So without further ado, let's talk about Rivals of Ixalan. This set's cool.
It's certainly interesting.
I don't think there's anything like earth-shattering here, but there's a lot of really interesting stuff, and I think they really gave you a lot for Commander.
Definitely. The set had a very different, not different. It had an interesting design to it. I'll just go a little bit into like what Wizards doing here. So for anyone who doesn't know, this is the last small set of Magic being produced ever.
As of right now.
As of right now, yeah, they may change in the future. Literally every announcement Wizard makes, they backpedal within 2 years. But this is the last planned small set, and you can kind of see in the design this is meant to just be Ixalan 2.0, where it's all the themes are still present, but they have I don't know if it's 2 or just 1 new mechanic for this set.
I think it's only 1.
I think City's Blessing might be the only new mechanic, but because of that, it's very tightly knit with the mechanics of the last set. And a lot of people were criticizing it at first.
It also really wasn't about the mechanics so much as the tribes.
Yeah. But
That's
we can get further into that. All right,
okay, fine. Sure. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a lot of... there was... oh, God, what's the name of the mechanics? I mean, outside of Ascent, we had, like, Enrage from the dinosaurs. We had Raid for the pirates. Explore was the other big one, the new one that they came out with, the only real big new one. I mean, obviously, Enrage is kind of there, but Raid already existed. Enrage is going to just be a whatever mechanic. It's never going to come back. Ascend theoretically could, but probably not. So there's really not a lot of Evergreen here. Explore, I could see them doing Evergreen.
Probably. The problem is they've addressed the fact that for brand new players, Explore has a lot of, weirdness. If this, then that. So, like, it might be hard to learn at first, so they may not make it Evergreen. Plus, Green already has a lot of stuff going for it.
Yeah, that's true, too.
But I know the big complaint that I saw on, at least on the subreddit, was there's two groups of people. One group saying this just feels like more of the same, and they didn't like that. The other group plays standard, and they're like, good. My tribal deck needed more of the same to be good. So the set is definitely for different groups of people.
We'll also talk about that more during the bannings, but the fact that the fact of the matter was, part of the reason there were 4 cards banned in standard was because Ixalan had pretty close to no impact outside of like lightning strike.
Pretty much.
There really wasn't a lot that was doing major effects. Yeah, I mean, every set that comes out in standard has at least a few cards usually make it in, but it's a question of whether or not they're new cards or even just reprints or cards that just fill a role better than an old card but don't really change anything. Like Duress. The reprint of Duress. There's a sideboard card. Lightning Strike. There's a big burn card. Like, but there really wasn't much. And then even in Rivals, I mean, Silvergill Adept is huge. Ravenous Chupacabra is like the biggest card in the whole set. Like, Mr. Super Necrotol. Like, it's just ridiculous how much Ravenous seems like the only card that people care about.
Actually.
Outside of Commander, I guess. But at the top end stuff, I keep alluding to it, but Commander really did get tons from this set. The cycle of the 5 Elder Dinosaurs. Val and I actually bought 2 packs yesterday, or 3 packs as I usually do at the store yesterday, and I gave them to Val. She opened the red Elder Dinosaur and the white one.
Oh, man.
So we have a bunch of Elder Dinosaurs now, which is pretty hysterical. They're both pretty cool.
They are both interesting. The keyword soup on the white one is interesting. I can already see people jamming that in. What's the name? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and the red one, see, here's the thing. A lot of the new cards, out of the whole set, I want to say 5, 6, 7, 8. There were 9 new legendary creatures.
They have 8 right at the top of the page here.
I know, and then Zakama is down in the multicolor.
Oh, okay.
So there are 9 new legendary creatures in this set. 5 of them are monocolored Elder Dinosaurs, which, while cool, I don't think any of them are really worth having as a commander.
Yeah, none of them are going to be the commander, but they'll see play, in the 99.
Yes, for sure.
I know right when the green one got printed, I sat there and thought, for Captain Sisay, a lot of the times I'm sitting there with a board of a bunch of little utility legends that I searched for, and he's the kind of guy I might search up to kind of like squeeze him in for 5 or 6 mana.
I was actually thinking I could put him in Selvala as a big dumb guy who's cheap, but I have lots of other creatures that fill that role well.
The question is if you find yourself in scenarios where like I have other creatures on the board that I can cast him when I'm not like super ready to combo off and still have this 12/12 trample.
Yeah. I mean, plus Zakama also feels like kind of a win more card in Selvala. Like, I kind of want to combo off or just play a few creatures and then they buff each other and then just win.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I want to play a 12/12 trample and then be like, I drew my card. I mean, it's worth... I'll definitely think about it, but there was a green card. I guess I'll talk about this real quick for... Well, no, I'll save that for personal upgrades. I don't want to get into that yet because we're talking about legendary creatures. I actually played 2 games against a Zakama deck yesterday. This guy had a Zakama deck there, but it was more Naya good stuff-ish. But that untap trigger is brutal. When they tap out to play Zakama,
get to just play anything else.
Yeah, although I will say, so I had the most fun time casting one of my new cards. So I ordered 5 cards when Rivals came out because, of course, TCG Player had a 5% kickback. I ordered the Immortal Sun, Wayward Swordtooth, Storm the Vault. What was the other one? I gotta check my... Because I want to leave the one I cast yesterday. So I cast one of the new cards yesterday, but it was not one of the new Rivals cards.
What, did you counter as commander or something?
No. It's even better than that. Oh, and I ordered a foil negate for my Kess deck, because that new negate artwork is absolutely drop dead the best one and gorgeous.
Oh, the color just makes it great.
The other thing I got for Kess, which also wasn't a Rivals card, is I bought a Stifle.
Ooh.
And I stifled his Zakama trigger, after Zakama entered the battle.
God, after playing Legacy for 6 months, I hate Stifle with like a burning passion.
Oh man, it felt really good because he was about to blow up most of my stuff, and I'm like, "Fuck you." But Zakama is, I mean, 9 out of 10 times you do the destroy, you cast Zakama, and even if you don't have any other cards in hand, blow up 2 artifacts or enchantments because there's a billion of those in Commander, and then kill a creature. It's insanely good value.
Yeah.
And it was a decent deck, although it wasn't really Dinosaur Tribal, which I don't think it ever will be, because you have whatever the fuck his name is.
Gishoth? Is that his name?
Yeah, Gishoth, yeah.
Yeah, he's honestly better if you're Dinosaur Tribal because they're in a similar mana cost range.
Yeah.
This is honestly this is the big mana payoff creature.
Yeah. It's dinosaur dinosaur stuff or Naya stuff. It's not really a crossover.
Yeah.
But then we have Kumena, Tyrant of Orazka. And he is obviously competing against Tishana from the last set for Merfolk Simic Commander. He definitely fits the theme a lot better.
He's the go wide payoff commander. He's the incentive to be playing a lot of Merfolk.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, Tishana, if I remember correctly, her ability counts on how many creatures you have, right? Draw a card for each creature you control. So she also wants to go wide. But in my mind, she has a lot more power not related to Merfolk. He's much more about the Merfolkiness. She can just do anything.
Yeah. She can be any deck that just has creatures.
So I'd say he's much more of a Merfolk tribal commander, but she's still good. But they definitely do different things. And she could probably fit into his deck, but I probably wouldn't put him in her deck.
No, I'm glad they have both of them printed though, because
yes,
getting one commander where it says you're only gonna play Merfolk, that kind of it limits what you can brew. Whereas having one that's more generic, you can definitely also brew whatever you want. Like Tishana is definitely good for just Simic good creatures.
Simic wide.
Kind of in the same way that there's 2 dinosaur commanders. One that's like very explicitly, I am playing dinosaurs and more. Another one's more like, I'm Naya and I love a dinosaur.
Well, 3 color dinosaur because we also have 5 mono.
Yeah.
2 of which I gotta say the black one is not a commander at all.
No,
because his ability is from hand.
No, we brought this up briefly. I think it was on one of the TNT podcast episodes that I do like that Wizards, even though they're aware of Commander, they don't design every legendary creature with Commander in mind.
Yes.
Legendary as a mechanic was meant to be a deck building restriction. Yes. We're going to give you this super strong creature, but there has to be a downside for you running a ton of them because you can't just play all of them at the same time.
Legendary deck for standard.
Yeah, pretty much. And they've gotten to the point where almost every legendary creature is designed for Commander because they know the community doesn't like getting a legendary creature that's useless.
Yep.
But at the same time, this is 100% designed around 60 card constructed, and I'm glad that Wizards is still throwing they put 9 commanders in the set, and one of them is very explicitly like this is a 60 card constructed legendary. Well, I'm glad they still acknowledge that.
I'd say it's 1.5 because another commander we can talk about is Elenda the Dusk Rose, who is super cool. I saw a video of someone playing her, and then MTG Mudsta, who does amazing commander videos, he had someone playing her, and on Commander Versus, they also had someone playing Elenda. I know that MTG Goldfish came out with a video. I didn't get to watch it yet. But she seems really interesting, but you have to build her as like a reanimator deck because her trigger is a die trigger.
Yeah.
But she seems really cool, actually.
I like all of her abilities, but the problem that's like staring me right in the eye is that she's a 1/1.
Yes.
And I've played enough games where my 2/2 commanders just cannot stand up to just residual damage or -X effects on board. That I saw the 1/1, I'm like, I'm not touching this one.
Yeah,
this
that's
is just
fair.
too fragile for me.
No, that's definitely fair, but she definitely does give something new to Orzhov.
I would even consider putting her in a like an Abzan reanimator.
For sure. You definitely could.
This is definitely where she belongs if you want to put her in the 99.
Yeah, I that sounds awesome. And then the final commander, Azor the Lawbringer.
Oh, this is the cool one.
The cool one who made me want to build a new commander deck not built around him. He has so much text on him. And it's kind of funny because this past week was the story, and they talked about Jace met Azor finally, and Jace basically wiped the floor with him, actually.
I didn't
Like,
read the story yet. That's pretty
Azor
cool.
kind of just... It was actually a little disappointing because of how powerful the card is, but the card is super cool. I mean, cast Azor, 6/6 flying for 6, which is good value,
Yeah.
even if it's a lot of color restriction. But in those two colors, you almost never run colorless stuff because you can't really risk it. But each opponent can't cast instants or sorceries during their next turn. Now, obviously, he still can die to removal on your turn or on other people's turns from the caster, but not being able to cast sorceries is shockingly good in Commander.
Yeah.
Board
You'd be
wipes,
surprised
except
at how
for
much
like
there is.
route, ramp cards are all sorceries. Draw cards, a lot of them are sorceries. There's a lot of good stuff that just can't be done for a turn. And even without his attack trigger, he's good. But when you attack, I feel like throwing some mana into his Sphinx's Revelation.
Yeah, the fact that he's got Sphinx's Revelation on him is the reason this guy is ridiculous. Sphinx's Revelation is already an amazing card, but now being able to do that, once per turn.
Yeah, even if you
God.
do some goofy stuff like Maze of Ithim, like I just want to get a Sphinx's Revelation trigger.
Yeah,
it's
just
super
that enough
fun.
is enough to swing the match 100% in your favor.
Yeah. Now I will say in Commander, people probably won't let him live to do that.
Nope, he's got a big target on his head just because of that ability.
But I will say lots of these cards, like every Primal Dinosaur has just a mass. Like, so the guy who played the Zapalta deck yesterday, he played in 3 of the games I was in out of 4. I won 2 of them and lost 2 of them, and obviously that's a weird number. I lost the last game he was in, mostly due to a guy who had just moved here. Apparently, actually, there's a brand new guy at the shop. He seems cool. He was running Edgar almost out of the box, and he won that game because 2 people died off pretty. I smashed one guy. I was running Selvala. I smashed one guy who was milling me because he was playing his Scarab God deck. He killed the girl who was playing her Cat Tribal deck, and then the Zapalta guy Emrakul'd me.
Oh no!
But before he could even take my turn, Vampire guy flew over and killed me, and then killed Zapalta guy because I basically wiped out his board, and all the guy had was just a bunch of vampires that were flying and a Butcher of Malakir, which kept killing everybody. So he won that game. But Zapalta really was a target, and he actually the reason I brought it up, his friends had shown up who he ran off and played with, and that was fine. He seemed to think I was being a jerk to one guy who had never played before, who I lent a deck to because he didn't feel like it, and I was trying to give him advice and help because he'd never played with a deck.
Oh, like he misread it as you being condescending, whereas more like you were helping him
but I was
out.
trying to help the guy. It was my deck, and I was like, here's a good play to do, And the guy had never even played Commander more than a handful of times. He didn't have his own Commander deck. He was playing my zombie deck, and I'm like, this, I guess, is the simplest deck I can give you. Yeah, he said to his friends as soon as they got there, man, Zapalta really paints a target on your back. And I'm like, well, no shit. You have a giant fucking creature with an insane amount of abilities in the command zone, and the whole Naya deck is just about ramp. He was like, ramp, 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 ramp. The worst thing in that last game we played was when the cat player played a Leonin Arbiter and he couldn't afford to ramp anymore. He did multiple tricks just to kill the Arbiter. But anyway,
there's I don't know, when we play Commander, there's always, I learned this phrase from Val. So whenever she plays a creature that's like, there's actually a huge target over the head, she always says, nah, it's okay, he's not doing anything. That's how I feel about every single Commander in this set. It's all like, you should probably kill this right now before it gets out of hand kind of creatures.
That's the case for most Commanders. But I will say, I agree with you. All of these, so out of all the Commanders in the set, all but 2 of them cost 6 or more mana, is one way to put it. And they all have a lot of abilities. I mean, you'd never run the Black Elder Dinosaur. The red one, if he gets to untap, casts 4 spells on average for free.
Yeah.
honestly, Galta, a 12/12 trample, isn't actually that terrifying without haste or anything, just on its own. The blue
No,
one
he
is
just kind of sits there.
clever, but I don't love the blue one. I don't know. The blue one's weird.
His protection ability is really, expensive in terms of value.
I mean, I guess the idea is if anyone tries to instant speed remove him, you get one card, and all you have to do is have 2 other cards in your hand to discard, and then you can exile him and dodge it.
Yeah.
And then Zatalpa, who is just keyword soup on a flying dinosaur. But yeah, overall, I think there's a lot of other things that are at. Well, let's talk about more other stuff for Commander. We have 2 Planeswalkers in the main set: Angrath the Flame Chain and Huatli Radiant Champion. Huatli goes in every go wide green-white deck.
The problem I have with Huatli is if you're behind, Huatli's absolutely awful.
I mean, that's the case for a lot of these cards, though. Most Planeswalkers are kind of like that because she doesn't protect her. She's worse in that regard, but when you're ahead, that turn 2 ultimate so that you can draw a card every time you play a token is nuts.
Yeah.
I don't think her downside of being... Like, even if you just have a few tokens, she's still good. She could potentially ultimate on turn 2.
Like, if her minus was make a token, I'd say this is perfect for token commander.
Her minus is weird because it doesn't give trample.
No, and that's actually a big problem.
And lots of tokens don't have trample. And without being in Abzan colors, you don't get Lingering Souls for flying tokens.
No.
Yeah, or Bitter Blossom. What?
Still get Spectral Procession, but that's, again, it's only 1 card.
Sure. And then Angrath the Flame Chained, everyone lose discard. I mean, it's great for hand attacking or messing around with opponents' creatures, but I don't super love it.
I remember his plus ability is very similar to the Black-Red God from Theros. Yes, and I remember trying running him in a bunch of different decks just because I'm like, force my opponents to slowly run out of resources. But the problem is, it's just a little too slow, especially in multiplayer.
I guess
you do get both triggering, so it's better. But
I guess the idea is you build a Rakdos deck that's just deny everyone resources.
Yeah,
like you run Liliana of the Veil, you run this, you run Mogus, you run Siphon Mind, that card that everyone discard and you draw a card. There's that black card that's like everyone discard their hand and then draw 1 less card.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I feel like you could easily build at this point a black-red just massive attack resources.
Discard.
Yeah. But then the big thing from the set is the 5 new flip cards, the legendary enchantments.
Oh, these are cool.
One of which is
2-color enemy color enchantments.
Yes, one of which is the card I instantly ordered a foil of for what's her face, Brea, Storm the Vault. I would love a Tolarian Academy that is legal in EDH, and there we go. But honestly, I'm pretty sure all of these, except maybe the red-white one, I really don't like. I really don't like it.
I want the red-white one to be good, but it's not.
I do too, but it just doesn't. It's not enough. I would have rather had it be more powerful for 2 mana than 2 mana. Like, make it stronger and not 2. Anyway, the other 4, Storm the Vault. I already said. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you get a treasure token. And at the beginning of your end step, if you have 5 or more artifacts, you transform it into a Tolarian Academy that also taps for 1 mana of any color.
Oh boy.
Absolutely busted in Brea. I'll flip it instantly. Every time I cast this, I should flip it by the end of the turn, and then have a Tolarian Academy ready to go. No problem. Journey to Eternity is probably my second favorite, because it's also busted. Enchant creature you control is the only aura out of all of them. When it dies, return the creature to the battlefield, then transform Journey to Eternity, which adds 1 mana of any color, or returns any creature from your graveyard to the battlefield.
So this definitely plays into what I like to think of as the backup strategy for these black-green Reanimator decks. If for some reason someone's killing your commander that's your main engine, this thing is your backup engine. It does cost a little bit, but at the same time, it's also on a land. So it's
it also just makes it so much faster. I mean, this goes in Marin. Every Marin
Yeah.
player is going to buy one of these because, like, Saffron Olive actually did a Against the Odds video where he basically built this in Modern, and all you do is run 4 Sakura Tribe Elders and this.
Yeah, there you go.
And other
turn
cheap
3,
sack
this
stuff?
goes off.
Yeah. Like, play a Sakura Tribe Elder on turn 2. Turn 3, you cast this on the Elder. Then on their turn, you sacrifice the Elder, get a land, get the Elder back. This comes back transformed, sack the Elder again, and you have enough mana to activate this on turn 4. Like, as a land. It's crazy.
So I want to run this in Marin, but I already don't play Marin because people hate me enough for it.
Dude, Marin is rough. Marin's way too good.
I regret building that deck.
I mean, Marin is good when you want to smash me in the face for, like, running Kess or some shit.
Oh, yeah, when I get, like, very mad at losing, I'll whip it out occasionally. Like, yeah, let's steal a win for today.
Let's just take one away for sure. Also very, very fun is is Profane Procession. This one's really cool.
This one was made for me.
1 black white, pay 5, 3 black and white, exile target creature. Then if there are 3 or more cards exiled with it, transform it. And Tomb of the Duskgrove, add 1 of mana of any color. Pay 2 a black and white, put a creature exiled onto the battlefield. Exiled with it onto the battlefield. That's fantastic.
So I didn't realize the implications till Tim, you pointed out to me, but if you just save this for targeting someone's commander,
Yep.
you never flip and you just have this 5 mana make your commander go away ability to use anytime.
Yep.
This is value. I'm excited this card got printed. I am going to jam it into Daxos because, again, it's
Dude,
finally
it's an enchantment.
The solid enchantment to run regardless of its flip ability.
It's super sick in Daxos. I mean, even if you target real creatures for 5 mana on someone's end step, exile their massive beater or something with a good enter the battlefield, flip it over, and then cast that for less mana, and there you go. Easy money.
Yeah, this is a good card.
We already talked about the red-white one. Path of Metal. When it enters the battlefield, deals 1 damage to each creature that doesn't have First Strike, Double Strike, Vigilance, or Haste. The choosing of keywords, actually, Morrow, I think, said something about it on his blog, or on his Tumblr, which is his blog. He basically wanted to convey everything that implies a creature is fast. First Strike, Double Strike, Vigilance, and Haste.
Okay.
Makes sense.
I can see that.
And then when you attack with at least 2 creatures that have those words, you transform it into... I can't even pronounce that. Something...
Metzali, Tower of Triumph.
Metzali, there you go. Tower of Triumph. It adds 1 mana, pay 1 in a red, tap it, deal 2 damage to each opponent. 2 in a white, choose a creature at random that attack this turn and destroy that creature. It's so close to good.
The problem is... The one thing that stood out to me like as being good is the 2 mana to deal 2 damage every turn. That's great. The problem is if you're playing a red-white deck that's running all of these keywords, chances are you're not trying to draw out the game with 2 damage.
You're trying to go fast.
Yeah.
Gotta go fast. Gotta punch him in the face. I feel like, honestly, it's not that bad of a card. It actually makes me... So this actually almost makes me want to try to put my Vance's Blasting Cannon promo in a deck, because as much as Lightning Bolt isn't very good and you don't get lands off of Vance's Blasting Cannons, I feel like a slightly worse Outpost Siege that then turns into a land or a Lightning Bolt for 3 mana isn't terrible, because having seen Zakama when he blew up a lot of utility creatures, or like when the guy was playing my zombie deck, he used Zapalta to kill like 3 of the zombie lords that the other guy had played.
Yeah, but sometimes there's just reason to kill little stuff. And
yeah,
the fact that it's on a land makes it better.
It makes me so I wouldn't run this. I still wouldn't. The only
we're still talking about Tower of Triumph, right?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm back to that. That was just a side tangent about Spitfire Bash and the cannons. Or the only Boros deck I currently have is my Depala deck, and this doesn't fit in that at all. Most vehicles, I'm not attacking with lots of vehicles all the time. So this doesn't work for me. I could definitely see places where this works. I mean, I guess the alternative is for 2 mana, you get potentially a board wipe for lots of little utility creatures, which sometimes get played in Commander. Like lots of 1-drop mana ramp, like birds, Land of War Elves, all those elf buffers, all those little 1-drops.
Vampire tokens.
Yeah, for Edgar, because Edgar's so popular.
Yeah.
It does kill lots of little stuff, but I guess the alternative is it just turns into a land, but really it's a lot of hoops to jump through.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this card, and the only deck I could possibly think of this going in was this shitty mono-white deck I played in Standard and moved into Modern that just so happened to have first strike on like every creature in that deck.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the only one where I'd see it being useful, but that deck is also not competitive at all.
I mean, you know what this is for? This is for Red-White Battalion.
Yeah.
That's what this is for. Battalion, all those creatures, like the Goblin, all of that stuff. It's what this is for.
I like that Wizards came up with this card. It may not be the best card ever, but it definitely shows, creativity and what they were trying to design.
Very much.
And I like that.
But then let's get to the last one, because we still have lots of cards to talk about. We've been going for a half hour already. Yeah. This might be as long as a normal episode by the time we're done. No. But at the beginning of combat on your turn, Hadana's Climb. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Then if that creature has 3 or more on it, transform it into Winged Temple of Orazka. Tap to add 1 mana of any color, or tap 1 a green and a blue. Target creature you control gets flying and +X/+X until end of turn, where X is its power. This couldn't go into your Uzuri deck any harder.
Yeah, this is I saw this, I'm like, wow, they're just printing shit for Uzuri right now. Like, this, when Uzuri is not there to start doubling your counters, this does it for you. I don't know, the first time I saw it, I'm like, this sucks, the 3-drop. But again, like, it really doesn't matter. You just need any other creature on board, and this thing will start doing work.
Yeah, even if it doesn't flip, it's just a free 1/1 counter every turn. And if you play it main phase 1, if you are knowing your Uzuri deck, you're already attacking by turn 3. So play this main phase 1 on turn 3. Hey, look, I got my first 1/1 counter. I got another 1/1 counter.
With Uzuri, I'm usually not playing this turn 3. Like, this is the hidden secret for Uzuri players: is you're just trying to get to 4 mana and get Uzuri out, and then you don't try to really play any creatures till he's out, because otherwise you run out of gas. So having something like this on turn 3 is perfectly fine. You're not going to use it until maybe turn 5 or even turn 4. You dump it on Uzuri to make him big enough that he can't get bolted, and that's good enough.
Yep.
But less about just Uzuri.
I mean, it's still. I mean, that's what it's built for, though. It's like it's built for that Merfolk 1/1 counter deck that Kumena kind of gets you into. But honestly, outside of Uzuri, I don't know who else even wants this. Like maybe an Evolve deck or something like that. But I mean, I'm gonna go to EDH Rec, and I'm gonna look at Simic Commanders, and I'm gonna find very quickly. There's Uzuri, the most popular one. He gets it. Not Kruffix, not Rashmi, not maybe Edric. Vorel also. Maybe Zagana. No. Experiment Kraj. Maybe Cassetto. Not Tashana, not Thrasios, not Kaidel, and Kumena wants it. So there's a handful of them.
Cassetto probably wants it.
Yeah, probably, because snakes like to do that kind of goofy shit. I mean, they like to
just giving the XX because you're giving something unblockable
exactly.
pretty much every turn.
Yeah. So there's ones who want it, but Uzuri is the one who wants it.
He's the prime for this.
He's the guy. You are my number one, a guy. But now that we finally finished with all the cool rare and mythic rare 2-color or multicolor stuff and a lot of the top end, just some good support cards, I guess. The Forerunner cycle is amazing for all of those tribal decks.
Yeah.
They are all good. Val already has a Forerunner of the Legion in her Edgar deck because it's great. I'm sad Time Stream Navigator sucks. That's disappointing.
They always try to shoehorn that take an extra turn card, and a lot of times they power it down just a little too much.
It's the fact that it doesn't have haste, and you have to have a send. Late game, anyone can get rid of a 1/1 or just kill you.
Yeah.
It feels way too flimsy, but the Forerunners are amazing. Every single one of them is good in their tribal deck. Every single one you run.
Yeah.
Especially Forerunner of the Empire, so you can do infinite Polyraptor bullshit. Because, making clones of dinosaurs forever and ever and wiping the board is probably a good idea. The Phoenix is amazing. Almost every dinosaur is good. The Trapjaw Tyrant is really,
honestly
really cool.
underestimated the Phoenix the first time I saw it. I'm like, oh, that's lame. Someone's just going to destroy the token it creates.
But a lot of the time
they won't.
Yeah, a lot of the time they either can't or someone will protect the token and you'll just get it back.
Yeah.
Also, the art's beautiful. Twilight Prophet is an insanely good vampire.
Oh, this is the mythic.
I'm probably going to buy Foil of it someday for Edgar because it's
gonna look
so
nice.
pretty. Having Better Bob is just... For 4 mana, it's pretty weak, but Ascend is... I mean, people were saying Ascend could happen in Limited. Ascend happens on, turn 6 in fucking Commander.
Yeah, it's really not that hard.
Especially in an Edgar deck? Oh my god, everyone's
severely underestimating the fact that you're generally playing a land every turn. People see permanents and start thinking about, well, how many creatures am I realistically going to have? Who's going to blow up my stuff? And I'm like, you have 6 lands on turn 6 generally. Can you hit 4 permanents, including this?
Probably.
It's real easy, especially in a format where we're playing, Signets and Artifact mana.
Even better, doesn't go away. If you play another Ascend card, oh, I got it.
Someone wipes the board, you still have it.
Yeah. I'm just working my way down the list. Crafty Cut Purse is a card that no one will play, but is really, really cool design. Flash, when it enters the battlefield, every token that will be created under an opponent's control this turn is created under your control. That's hysterical tech.
Oh man, I got a little scared when I read that ability at first because I love playing token decks. Then I saw the cost. I'm like, good, I'll never see this one.
4 mana, 2/2 flash. Never gonna see play ever. It's 2 sideboard tech. Bishop of Binding is a really cool vampire new take on temporary exiling.
Yeah,
it's like a banisher priest with upside, but the 1 power is 1/1 is really weak. Champion of Dusk, amazing. Another big vampire lord that draws cards for Edgar. Bloodsun.
Vampire's getting what it needs. Bloodsun is the interesting one.
Bloodsun's super interesting. So, Freeman, having spent time yesterday before people showed up staring at my Lycia deck, I believe I have decided I am going to cut 2 cards from that deck. I'm going to put in Bloodsun, and I'm going to put in Amulet of Vigor, and then I'm going to buy all the bounce lands for that color. For Martin.
Okay.
Because I realized, except for the fetch lands, which are completely screwed by this, and some other lands, like the gain lands that don't have their ability, but if they had Amulet of Vigor coming untapped, that deck runs so many tapped lands.
Well, forgive me if I'm wrong. Bloodsun stops them from entering tap.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But the reason I would run that and Amulet of Vigor is if I can get Amulet of Vigor, my tapped gain 1 lands enter the battlefield, give me a life, and give a mana, which is 2 mana for Lycia on that turn. And with Bloodsun, I just lose the gain, but I have mana of a color, which is still better.
Yeah.
So there's almost no lost value here. The only thing I lose is... what was it? The fetch lands turn off with just Bloodsun, but Amulet of Vigor works better because then I don't have to pay for my shock lands entering untapped. The temples lose their scry, but give you mana immediately, which is arguably better, but that's also only with Bloodsun, not Amulet. I just feel like those 2 cards make my mana base way better.
Bloodsun is part of what I like to call Wizards' new design philosophy, which is you take a card that's kind of mean and you make it less mean for everyone. So a lot of their land destruction lately, what's that desert from Hour of Devastation, where it's 3 sack it, destroy target non-basic land, but then
Field of Ruin.
And every opponent search for a basic land. So
it's not even a desert, but it's also pay 2 and tap it.
Okay, I thought it was a desert, but regardless, it's one of those cards where it's that is too powerful, but I don't really want to set you behind a land because that'd be super mean. So let's all go get basics. Let's even the playing fields. And this is how Bloodsun works. It's that I'm not getting rid of your lands. I'm not, except for fetch lands, which they can't do anything. It's saying, hey, all that bullshit your land is doing, stop it. It taps for mana. We're just going to play regular Magic here.
So here's the other thing. You're totally right. There's also so many lands in Commander that have utility, including all the new flip lands from Ixalan, turns all of them off.
Yeah, there's a reason I'm like required to run a Ghost Quarters in every deck I build, and everyone always looks at me like, "Oh no, you're gonna blow up my shit." I'm like, "Not really. I need the mana right now. But if you try some major bullshit, this is why it's here."
So I don't really do any of that, but that's why in Lissia I'm like, maybe it's worth it to finally do it.
I definitely think if people aren't running land dependent strategies, you're gonna see a lot of Blood Sun in Commander. I undervalued this card in Modern at first until I reread it and saw that draw a card at the top part.
Yup.
People are undervaluing that draw card. I know the issue is that Blood Sun doesn't stop Tron, and that's the reason
Tron.
no one's going to play it. It actually, sort of.
It does. It's not sort of. It helps. Tron
Yeah, you're
doesn't
right.
get affected, and it turns off fetch lands.
It turns off fetch lands, and it stops your own Ghost Quarters from impacting their Tron lands. So it's not. This is not going to be played in Modern. People who want to play a 3-mana enchantment, they're going to be playing Blood Moon in Modern.
Yep.
But if for some reason Tron gets banned, I could see Blood Sun taking over to a certain degree.
Well, I saw a comment that people said Tron actually doesn't want this because even though it helps Tron, it only hurts decks that Tron can beat already and doesn't help them in matchups where they get fucked anyway.
It's kind of win more. Plus, no one's really playing Green Red Tron right now. As much as I love Green Red Tron, you don't need it for anything until that deck comes out that's like literally like three duels and 20 fetch lands.
Yep.
You're not going to be playing this card.
Nope. But it's a great thing to see. The other thing, like you said, the draw card. Like, oh, I stop. Even if it just helps me in Lissia, that's helpful. Like, oh, I lose the scry on my temple, but it comes in, or I don't pay for my shock, or whatever. Oh, but if either it just helps me or it also hurts you. So it's not a bad card at all.
Yeah, it's not all downsides. You're exchanging some of the utility on your lands for the untap effect. So there is a trade to it, but generally speaking, Blood Sun is going to help you in the long run. It's going to stop any unanticipated utility lands your opponents may play. And it doesn't put you down a card to use.
Nope, which is even better.
Yeah.
Let's just keep going. Let's just focus on... I've realized we're taking way too long. Let's just...
honestly, we've covered most of the big cards at this point. We'll go pretty fast on this
I was going to say, yeah, let's just start blowing through cards that actually matter. Release to the Wind is a really cool idea. It's a bounce, but it lets you cast things again to get all these cast triggers for Eldrazi that has been going on. I don't know who runs this, but it's cool. Brass's Bounty. I honestly might run that in Brea someday. I don't know if I will yet, but it's cool. Getting a treasure copy of all of my lands in a deck that wants artifacts is amazing.
It's a big ramp.
Big ramp.
Big ramp.
I don't know. I feel like Brea's in a good place right now, but if I want to start adding or cutting from Brea, I have to kind of redesign it, not around being Thopter, and just build it as more mean.
Yeah, the thing about Brea is just because it's 4 colors, you're always going to have something new for it in a set, but it may not always fit exactly what your Brea's theme is.
Exactly.
I can definitely see there being like a million takes on Brea.
That's why there was a point where I was like, man, maybe I'll build 1 or 2 more Brea decks someday. I definitely won't, but because I'm trying to back off and stop spending so much money, but yeah, I know.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out.
Dire Fleet Poisoner is, having seen a Saffron Olive video where he did pirates, this card is fucking nuts.
I was going to save this for bringing up when we talk about the multicolor uncommons at the bottom of the sheet, but Wizards is really upping the power toughness to mana cost lately. So Black is getting their bear. They're 2/2 for 2. And this is a flash death touch. This is like it's sort of a Doomblade creature, but it also has decent stats on the body.
Well, but also it's an offensive and defensive death touch card, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, look, my little pirate's attacking you. Am I bluffing, or do I have Poisoner to take out your big blocker by giving it Death Touch? And also, it gives +1/+1. It doesn't even just throw Death Touch on it.
Yeah.
Dire Fleet Daredevil, the pseudo-red snap. I think this sees play in Commander, in Pirates. That's it.
Yeah, probably.
I think...
What's that other one? Dualcaster Mage? That one already doesn't see an amazing amount of play. And it's...
Dualcaster sees play, but this costs 1 less red, and while it doesn't copy it immediately for you, you get to pick.
Yeah.
Oh, I need a board wipe right now? Oh, I want a ramp right now? There's always someone who has a spell like that in their graveyard.
usually.
What else? What else? What else? Mastermind's Acquisition is just cool because it's another 4-mana tutor, but you can also get cards from outside the game. But that's always weird because,
It doesn't work in Commander.
well, people have to kind of house rule it in Commander. Tender Shoot Dryad. That's people love Sapperlings for some reason. There you go. Look, it's Sapperling guy. It's fine. Form of the Dinosaur. Form of the Dragon barely sees play in Commander because 5 life is too little. 15 that goes down is not good enough. Slaughter the Strong, I think, is a really interesting situational board wipe. Freeman?
I'm debating on it.
I don't know anyone who...
Total power. Yeah, all right. Yeah, actually, this is really good.
Yeah, it's really cool because it gets around things like go wide strategies have to cut most of their creatures. Anyone with Voltron has to get rid of their commander creature.
Yeah.
It's really cool, but I honestly don't know how many people are going to run this because it's like just run Wrath of God. Usually you want... People will pay 1 mana to remove choice. That's the best way I'll put it.
Yeah.
Like
sometimes it's gonna bite you in the ass. You're having to kill too much of your own stuff to not deal with what you actually wanted to deal with.
So just yesterday, the guy who had the vampire deck, we had some time before he left after our last game he was in, and I was like, hey, I'll take a look at your deck. And I offered like just 2 cards to cut, because honestly, the Edgar deck is pretty good out of the box.
Yeah.
But there was one card, I can't remember what it was, that I told him he should cut. And put it... Oh, no, you know what it was? It was Fell the Mighty. Remember the card that's destroy every creature with power greater?
Yeah.
I said to him, you're paying 1 more mana for maybe having a situation at some point where you want to keep some vampire tokens, but you also don't necessarily wipe away a lot of other creatures that matter. Cut that and put in a Wrath of God.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's a good backup Wrath of God, but you don't want that uncertainty. You just want to say, I know I will kill the board right now.
Yeah, that's the thing with a lot of these destroy spells. If you can't actually deal with what's causing you a problem, that spell's essentially not doing its job.
Yep.
Generally speaking, for 1 more mana to do the job in Commander is usually not that big of an issue, especially when you're talking about spells that are under 5 mana.
Yep.
So...
The only reason I think this sees some play is because it's 3 mana, and even partial board wipes for 3 mana are rare.
Yeah,
basically looking at Toxic Deluge. Certainly not on white.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're almost there. Wayward Swordtooth, as I said before, putting that in Selvala. I don't care about it.
This is cool, even when it's not seen as a creature. This is what it almost has like the Theros Enchantment God kind of thing, where it's not really a creature until you meet your condition, but until then, you do get advantage out of it. This is.
I mean, it's a cheaper version of like a Souza or Oracle of Muldiah, but for me, more importantly, it's a 5/5 that comes down on turn 3 if I've ramped to Selvala on turn 2, and then I draw a card and have 5 mana from Selvala and play another land.
Plus, Ascend is just gravy.
Yep,
it's just extra, but it can, work in your favor.
You could remove Ascend from that card, and I would still play it in Selvala in a second.
Yeah.
Warkite Marauder is a really goofy, interesting thing. Basically, turning off lots of unique creatures in Commander and then wiping the board is a great thing you could do. Vona's Hunger, Ascend, everybody sack half their creatures. Great. Even with just the only reason it's less good is because in zombies, in my deck, you want to have a creature that has a board wipe like this or has a sacrifice like this, like Fleshbag Marauder.
Yep.
You don't want a spell that does it, but it's a cool spell. World Shaper is busted. That card is nuts for Gitrog. Every really Gitrog deck or other land or Titania deck has World Shaper in it already. Temple Aliosaur is actually amazing for an Enrage Dino deck. I would like to make sure I only ever trigger Enrage, please. What else? Lots of fun little stuff.
A bunch of dinosaurs in here.
Bunch of vampires. Baffling End. I tried to convince you to put that in... what's his name?
Baffling End. Hold on. How far down did you go for this?
The enchantment. It's in white. It's the Dino... It's the Daxos. It's the one that exiles something that costs 3 or less, and then they get a 3/3 trampler.
Oh, yeah.
I tried to convince you to put that in Daxos, and you said you wouldn't.
I'm backpedaling on that one. The fact that it's a 2-mana enchantment makes me just want to jam it
Yep.
anyway, because the lower cost you have, the more you can, also squeeze out a token every turn. Once you get past that number 3, a 3/3 with trample isn't really that scary.
Yep.
You may have been right on that one.
I mean, I
It's
figure
probably
with
going in there.
I figure as long as you can, like you said, as long as you're at 3 experience counters, that basically means nothing to you. Like,
Yeah.
that's no downside, and it does hit only 3 converted mana cost 3 or less. But cheap commanders, even if they've been cast a bunch, fall under that, and lots of utility creatures fall under that.
Yeah, this is usually just for dealing with utility creatures, but I think I'm pretty okay with running that in there. Thanks for reminding me to go pick one up.
Flood of Recollection, I was tempted to put it in Kess, but Kess doesn't mind things in the graveyard, and it's not worth 2 blue just to get something back to my hand, usually. I don't think I can cut... I also don't think I can cut a single card from Kess for this.
I just got to mess with Tyler. Look who's doing a Magic podcast. Or is that the... Oh, it's all of us.
Oh. Golden Demise is a really cool little Ascend thing, but I don't really like it. It doesn't do negative enough for Commander in my mind.
Yeah, no, it's not effective enough.
Ravenous Chupacabra, I don't think it sees play because there's too many good old black removal spells that are better.
Man, if I still played Thrashing Brontosaur... if I still played Standard, I would love to see Thrashing Brontosaur. 3/4 for 3 that also can blow up an artifact or enchantment.
I mean, that's basically a Quasali Pride Mage that's better for the dinosaur deck. So it's
a beefier body, but it also has dinosaurs matter for this set.
Not much else left. Although
generally speaking, this was 100% a tribal set. Like,
oh yeah,
you're probably gonna be able to go in like maybe not pirates, but at least vampire, merfolk, and dinosaurs are probably gonna have showings.
Yeah, it sucks for pirates. They didn't really get any. They also didn't get a new commander, which sucks. So it's still just Beckett.
Oh, that was annoying.
Let's go down. We're at the
not that
lords. All these lords are great. Honestly, the Legion Lieutenant is of course busted in Edgar. Merfolk Mistbinder, just another redundant. So, okay, we do have a little bit more to talk about. We have to talk about the 2 mythic legendary artifacts, Azor's Gateway and the Immortal Sun. I put an Immortal Sun in my Lycia deck just for value because I think it's a sick card. Even though it costs 6 mana and doesn't actually do anything really once it hits the board, I think it's such a fun card. But Azor's Gateway is crazy. 2 mana, pay 1, draw a card, then exile a card. If you have 5 or more cards, 5 of which have different converted mana costs, you can flip it into a land that taps for mana equal to your life total of 1 color.
So I was saying this right when this got spelled, regardless of the flip side, I think this is just a good filter card in general.
Maybe. I don't love that. I don't know. I'm always nervous about self-exiling. There's always so many graveyard things. I'm like, oh, I'll probably get it back someday. I don't really care. But then there's this, and no. See, here's my problem. This will almost never flip in Commander ever, ever, ever. If people let this flip, it means people have built their decks wrong, or you got insanely lucky and there were worse things to target. Because this is too much mana. Letting someone have 30 plus mana is ridiculous.
You had to let someone spend 7 mana over the course of 6 turns to get this going.
Yeah, why would you let them do
bare
that?
minimum? It's a powerful effect, but because of how slow it is, I want to say it. This is balanced because of how slow it is.
Oh, it sure is balanced. They couldn't have done this any 4 cards would have been too good.
Yeah.
But I also, here's my other thing. Even though it's Commander, a lot of decks adhere to the curve, and especially my more competitive decks like Kess. Now, in Selvala, this is good, but I also don't want to, like, I don't mind looting, but I always am wary of forever losing a resource. And you can only throw a land into this thing once.
Yeah. I mean, even if you're not trying to go for the flip and you're just trying to filter, throwing away lands isn't the worst thing you can do.
It's cool.
But it really doesn't
like
advance
it paints
the Sanctum
a
plan.
huge target.
Especially once you start actually getting close.
Oh, I'm at 3 cards, guys. You have 2 turns to find an answer, or I get a... The other thing is I feel like it's almost a trap. People
force them to waste their removal on Azor's Gateway. Like, this is not like a prime artifact to target.
Sure, but what do you do with all that mana? A lot of mana is good, but what do you do with it? unless you have an X spell, usually most of it goes to waste.
Yeah.
That's my other problem with it. Like,
It's almost overkill.
in Lycia, I run lots of life gain, and my life total can be pretty high, but I don't have... In Kess, my only mana sink is fucking Torment of Hailfire. Like, this only goes in 1 or 2 color decks, or a more color deck that has a use for all that mana. Like, a commander with ability where they can just dump mana into it, like Nylea or something. I don't know. It feels like everyone wants to jam this and would want to jam this in every deck, and in reality, you should only put it in a handful of decks.
Yeah, no, this doesn't belong in every deck. But the thing is, because this artifact that only costs 2 and you can start filtering, people are going to try it. They're going to think it's going to be good, but the fact of the matter is, you can't actually use this if you manage to, summon Exodia and flip this card.
The Golden Guardian is kind of a cool take on something. It's really weird flavor-wise, though. Like, fight your own creature, and then when it dies, you get to go in and make golems. Silent Gravestone, like there's so much better graveyard removal in Commander. There's Relic of Progenitus. There's all this other stuff. I mean, no one plays a Dredge deck in Commander, and I feel like Dredge wants to advance Dredge. They don't want to have sort of other people graveyard hate. So, I don't know. I feel like that doesn't really go anywhere in Commander, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right, we're finally done with Rivals. Jesus. What else? We were going to talk Abandoned and Restricted.
Yeah, all right, let's...
So
How long have we been recording for? Oh, man, just under an hour. All right.
55 minutes. We Gucci.
You could probably wrap this in 1:30. Let's do it.
Sure, let's try. So, Banned and Restricted. 4 cards banned in Standard. Attune with Aether and Rogue Refiner. Hit Temur Energy. Then, to hit Ramunap Red, which apparently had the best win percentage in the format except against Temur Energy, hit Rampaging Ferocidon and Ramunap Ruins.
So, I mean, honestly, no one is shocked that something was done about energy. I'm more in shock that Wizards like, yes, we need to deal with red right now.
I think their data supports dealing with red. I think Rampaging Ferocidon was the wrong card to hit. I just saw a Channel Fireball article earlier today, and the guy was like, we've been in this dance too many times where Wizards wants to ban cards for other cards as sins. And Rampaging, he made a good point. Rampaging Ferocidon feels like it was banned because they didn't want to ban Hazoret. What were you going to say?
I feel like this was definitely... Rampaging Ferocidon was killing too many of the strategies they were trying to push in this set.
Like vampires.
And, yeah, like vampires. This is 100% more of like, we need to sell Ixalan in general. Or like the whole block. And I think
we'll cut an Ixalan card.
Yeah, well, the problem is, like, if he was a 2/2, I think he'd be more manageable. The problem is, a 3/3 for 3 is already good. A 3/3 for 3 dinosaur is pretty good. A 3/3 for 3 dinosaur that shuts down archetypes is really good.
And has menace.
The whole deal damage and life gain thing is a very hate mechanic, and it should not be on a powerful creature like this. And I think because of that, it's a card that should be a sideboard card that is 100% main boardable in all these decks, and that's kind of the problem.
I mean, I feel like what's the card? Isn't there a card that prevents life gain but also deals damage, like Sulfuric Vortex or something? You know, it's like deal 2 damage to everybody and players can't gain life.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have been banned in this scenario if it existed too, because it's like every aggro red deck wants that card.
Yeah.
Get your opponent's life total lower. Well, you're not getting out of this hole, and I'm racing you way harder than you're racing me. So get wrecked, dude.
I'm also annoyed that, like, the first time I saw Ramunap Red split, I'm like, this is okay. It's a decent ability on a land. But the fact that Wizards is like, no, this is too strong for a land in Standard makes me, like, very upset.
The problem is it gave reach to the deck, where as soon as the board got to later on, your red creatures are probably dead, their life total is low, but they've stabilized the board, but now you can reach around the board and still hit them on a land which they can't deal with. So it gave the Ramunap deck a lot of inevitability to be able to shoot around once they had probably drawn about 5 or 6 lands, more than they needed, and had run out of cards, and Hazoret was the only thing attacking, and they could deal with Hazoret. Oh, I don't have anything left to do with my mana? Well, I'll just start throwing my lands at you.
I'm just still upset this is too strong for Standard.
I mean, I'm surprised that at that mana cost, they... I don't... It speaks to Standard being in a worse place, almost. You know what I mean?
It does. Like, I made this apparent to everyone I knew when Battle for Zendikar got spoiled, and they started showing off the man lands. And I'm like, I was looking at them like, what the hell? None of these are as good as the last set was.
No.
And there's this constant depowering of sets, and I'm just concerned, like, if you have stuff like for Eternal, you always have stuff coming through these supplementary sets, but Modern has to get its pool from Standard. And the more Standard gets powered down, the more the potential for Modern gets powered down.
What do you mean? Fatal Push came out last year.
Get
Reddit says it's the card of the year.
It is. I'm aware of it. It's actually one of the better cards in Modern right now.
Fatal Push is taking Tarmogoyf out of the format, dude.
I'm aware of it, but I don't want to play with better removal. I want to play with cooler mechanics.
Yeah, Revolt's a cool mechanic. Dude, Fatal Push goes all the way to fucking Legacy, dude. Come on.
I know. It's a good card.
Dude, no ban... Okay, hold on. Side note on Modern. No ban list Modern coming to SCG event later this year.
I saw that. I was very excited because I'm reading through the comments. And everyone's like, I don't know. Is GTA too underpowered for this format?
Dude, they're going to stream the top 8.
Someone said, was it Legacy Blue-White Miracles? Except for the duels, the whole deck is legal.
That's amazing. Someone has to fucking play that. That'd be so great.
I'm excited to see what happens. This is not a healthy format, but it's going to be interesting to see.
Now, I feel like this is SCG. So I feel like SCG, way more than Wizards, I guess, can even afford to. Their circuit clearly doesn't matter as much, but it seems like so much more fun. They are the ones who started this team constructed thing. And I feel like team constructed is one of the best things to happen in a long time to the circuit. Team constructed is so cool. The idea that you have a team of 3 people who all play a different format and everything revolves around how each of those decks work against each other. Now I just like, and then they also have the team unified format, which is like everyone has the same format, but they can't run the same cards in some cases. That's awesome.
I like these interesting restrictions on how you can win. It's fun. It adds another element to the game.
They're doing Pauper. They're doing no ban list Modern, but apparently they're also doing more Eternal stuff.
I really want Pauper to pick up because then Slivers is back to being tier 1 again, which has always been my dream.
Apparently there were 300... So the top post on the subreddit right now, the 302 players of the London GP London Pauper event just gave a round of applause to the professor. 302 people showed up in London to play Pauper.
That's amazing.
That's insane. But now we already have the price spikes.
Shit, I need to buy my Sliver deck right now.
No, it's not Slivers. No one cares about Slivers.
Thank God. I always need an excuse to buy more Slivers.
Yeah, you have a shirt that goes with it too.
Wizards, Dominaria's coming up. You know what I'm asking for.
Oh, man. Dude, Dominaria, we can't even talk about it today.
We can't talk about it. We don't even know anything about it.
But it's going to be wild and crazy, dude.
I alluded to it earlier when we were talking about the small set, but Dominaria is Wizards first. This is the big set. You're only drafting this, which means all the mechanics they want for that set are going to be right there, front and center. Nothing's going to be held off on for a second set, so I'm interested to see how they're going to design it going forward.
How do they cram enough stuff?
They don't, but what they do is they make sure that every mechanic added isn't underwhelming. Like you may have a mechanic where there's only a couple cards for it in here because you know the second set's going to elaborate on it. Like I remember it was like Delirium.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of underpowered in the first Return to Innistrad, whatever the actual
Shadows
set
and then Eldritch.
Shadows over Innistrad, and then it kind of paid off more in Eldritch. But if they were to like do it now, it's going to be, Delirium has to be playable on its own with just this one set.
Well, the other thing though is they can still continue things between sets, and if they said if they want to do blocks with more like a block again, they can.
I'm telling you this right now. There's gonna be multiple Ravnica sets. The next time we go to Ravnica. That's what's gonna happen,
dude. So Dominaria is its own interesting case. We actually don't know what set is after Dominaria, do we? We know there's the core set, but we don't know what's in the fall.
No, we don't know yet.
I highly doubt they'll do Dominaria twice. But I wouldn't be surprised if we went back to Dominaria, or not Dominaria, to Ravnica later this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Really?
I'm willing to bet it's going to be Dominaria core set, something new, and then Ravnica.
I don't even know if something new goes in there, dude.
Do you think they're going to do Dominaria then Ravnica back to back?
Dude, Dominaria, okay, Dominaria is for the fucking old people who have been playing Magic for 1,000 years and remember Dominaria. New players don't know what Dominaria is. But Ravnica, everybody knows what fucking Ravnica is. Everybody under the sun knows what Ravnica is. There's cards. Azor was just in this set. He's from Ravnica. Nicol Bolas, there's always things to do on Ravnica. Look at Vraska's hanging around. Like, everything, there's always some link back to Ravnica. It's like the hub of Magic.
Yeah, it pretty much is.
And it's been a few years since we had a set on Ravnica, and people just fucking go nuts for it.
I don't blame them. It's usually some of the more well-designed sets.
It's not even about well-designed, though. It's about
being two-color.
And familiar.
Yeah.
Like, everyone, like, hell, if nothing else, the two-color combinations of Magic are the guilds of Ravnica. Even, like, Rich Shea, he's the guy I watch for Legacy and Vintage all the time. I haven't been watching as much, but he also hasn't been streaming as much. He, like, none of the old fogies use the Tarkir names. He certainly doesn't use the Tarkir names.
I always sit here and I forget what they are for, like, a split second before I actually call them what they are.
Yeah. Or even, like, so, like, all the tricolors just are kind of whatever. But for the old fogies, even for them, the duels are Ravnica. Ravnica is just iconic for everyone. Ravnica is, like, the hub of Magic.
I'm the outlier. I'm lazy and just say the colors.
What, you say red, blue instead of...
Yeah, red, blue.
Oh,
yeah. I'm just lazy.
Is it laziness, or I mean, it's also clarity for a new...
It's like I don't want to sit there and think about the guilds. I'm like, it's a blue-red deck, whatever you call that.
So anyway, so yeah, what were we even talking about again?
I don't know. We went off topic about Bannings and Standard to the point where we're just like, what's coming up next in Standard?
Because we don't care about Standard. They said
I don't play Standard.
You know when
the only time I'll play Standard is when Magic Arena comes out. Then I'll play Standard.
So here's the other thing. My phone just buzzed. The only other thing they really said in the announcement, Legacy seems to be fine, Vintage seems fine, whatever, that's fine. The only other thing that they seem to be planning for is potential bannings or unbannings after the Modern Pro Tour, which is soon, I believe. Isn't it this coming weekend?
It's within this month.
I'm pretty sure it's this coming weekend, Freeman.
Yeah, probably. I have to figure this out so I can watch the deck list and see that none of my decks top 8.
Yeah. Oh man, dude, how's Tezzerator gonna do?
Yo, I'm dying to know.
Or black-white tokens, dude. They're coming back from tier 5.
It'll happen one day. Yeah, I was so mad when Ixalan got spoiled with that. The format was like black-white to make 3 vampire tokens with lifelink. I was like, fuck, if they had flying, just maybe we'd get in there. But no.
No way, dude. There's no way. They're not going to do it.
The thing is, Token is a pretty good matchup against Grixis Death Shadow. So that's the one saving grace I have. Just hope that if I ever play it, just hope it's just Death Shadow all the way down.
Oh my god. All right, I'm trying to find from my phone. I had the Great Designers questions open, and I can't find it. All right, I'm just gonna search the subreddit for GDS3. So, last thing we're going to talk about, great designer search. Okay, here we go. Here's some essay questions. Let's talk about these a little bit, because we're not going to talk about, like, why are you a good fit for this internship? We're going to talk about things like, so here's, Freeman, this is one of the questions that I thought would be a lot of fun to discuss. An evergreen mechanic is a keyword mechanic that shows up in almost every set. If you had to make an existing keyword mechanic evergreen, which one would you choose and why? And if you had to remove evergreen status from a mechanic, what would it be? I would like to start with the removal one because that's easier to check. So evergreen keywords on the according to the MTG wiki. What? Oh, those are. Okay, so here's what we have: Vigilance, Trample, Scry, Reach, Prowess, Menace, Lifelink, Indestructible, Hex. Is Indestructible really?
There you go.
So.
Indestructible.
Hexproof, Haste, Flying, Flash, First Strike, Double Strike, Defender, Death Touch, and that's everything. That's they listed this so fucking weird, but that's basically it. That's what it seems to be. Are the current evergreen keywords. So
thankfully, Wizards already got rid of my former top pick, which was Intimidate. But,
sure.
That was dumb mechanic. Honestly, I have to go with either Indestructible or Hexproof.
Yeah.
Both of those mechanics are very anti what you're trying to do. They don't care. They're very blanket. Like, if you could... Like, they don't have protection anymore, but if you had Hexproof as, like, can't be targeted by abilities, or just can't be targeted by instants or sorceries, you have a little bit more of leeway of how someone can get around that creature. But with Hexproof, you can't. You can't do it. Indestructible, you get around with like minus abilities. That's kind of restricted just to black generally. Probably Hexproof. I'd get rid of.
I'd probably say Indestructible because it gets around combat, which is the main thing. Hexproof is more about spells and removal, but if you have, it pushes you away from a targeted removal game. But at least with board wipes or creatures, you can get rid of it. Indestructible, you have to have other tricks.
Yeah.
You have to have bounce, you have to have exile, and it pushes a lot of other things into the meta. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Hazoret. Hazoret, how do you deal with her? You basically have to play white for exile removal. Or have creatures in the way, or have blue for bounce. Like, or you play Vraska's Contempt in Standard. That's, like, what does another red deck do about Hazoret? Block. That's it. So I'd probably say Indestructible with a secondary as Hexproof, and I think most of the community agrees with us, because that's what most of the answers were. Now, what do you make evergreen?
So here's my controversial opinion of the day. Shroud should be back if you want to get rid of Hexproof. I think Hexproof of you being able to do your own stuff, but your opponent not being able to, is very strong.
Yes.
I think by bringing that Shroud, there is now a downside to having that kind of protection. Meaning, like, no equipment, no enchantments. You can't, like, buff up that creature unless you get around targeting wording. And I like that restriction to it. Like, when I play Slivers, searching for that Shroud sliver is, like, a very deliberate decision I have to make. It says, I'm not going to target any of my things with things anymore. Like, I have to be ready to commit to doing Shroud. So I think bringing it back might be a good replacement if you're getting rid of Hexproof.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they both really shouldn't exist. They kind of overlap a little too much, and I know that's why Wizards does do Shroud, because Hexproof is the new fixed version of it.
Right.
That's probably how I'd answer.
I'm just reading over some answers because I really like a lot of things. I feel like Raid could definitely be, because that encourages attacking a lot. I feel like Raid is a really good way to say, hey, why don't people fight more and attack more? It kind of counteracts Defender being there to make people slow down. And if you get rid of Indestructible and add Raid, it makes people get into it a lot more on combat.
Yeah, it'll definitely impact Limited. I'm honestly, the fact that they've brought it back so quick since it was created kind of pushes more in favor that Wizards might do it someday. It seems like an easy to utilize mechanic.
It's also, you just throw it on a lot of creatures. It doesn't really work on spells, like the counter spells, like, ugh. But it encourages sorcery speed play, which Wizards probably likes, and it incentivizes attacking, which means games don't go as long and as slow. And then you just
I've already said my answer. They could probably do Rebound.
I don't think so. Free value is too much for all
they
the
would just
time.
make a bunch of shitty spells. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, all the spells would be garbage. Honestly,
there's so many of these ones that are like tied to planes that are just hard to repurpose to be very
cycling is a big answer on the subreddit. I feel like cycling is such a simple thing to understand.
Yeah.
I don't need this card. Throw it away. Give me a new one. Don't need
Yep.
it. Throw it away. Give me a new one. It's a good mechanic too. What else? What else? What are some other good ones? A lot of these other ones are not.
You stroke Magic's ego and tell him Skulk should be a evergreen keyword.
No, Skulk shouldn't be. Yeah, everything else really isn't really things we could get into / have enough experience with. Yeah, I don't really want to get into the discussion of anything else, but the other one thing I want to do, I'll pull it up on my phone. Because I did have it successfully open on my phone.
Oh my god, reinforce is a keyword.
Reinforce? Jeez.
It's like the land equip from Future Sight.
Oh my god. Oh, yeah. Or, no, fortify.
Oh, fortify. Wait, what's reinforce?
That's where you discard the card and put one
counters. Oh, I remember this. Okay, yeah, my Kithkin deck had a card.
How the fuck did I remember that? All right, I'm pulling it up on my phone so that I can hopefully find the fucking tab I had open. Because I pulled up a bunch of Witcher stuff on my phone, so now I lost the site. Okay. I'm going to try to pull this up by typing this in. I'm trying to recreate this, so hold on. Haha, I did it. Okay. So this is a mirror for the Great Designer Search 3 multiple choice questions. And I would love to find out... I would like us to try to guess on these, Friedman. Just some of these. These are fun. I don't know if this page doesn't still work. Okay, Friedman. Okay. What is the most appropriate color for this card? Scrappy Survivor, CMC 6, Creature 5/5, Menace Prowess.
Menace Prowess?
Yes.
It's a color or colors?
Color.
It's red.
Yes. I would agree with you. What is the most appropriate rarity for that card?
It was a 5/5 for 6?
5/5 for 6, Menace Prowess. I want to say, based on some Tarkir stuff, I'm remembering uncommon?
Yeah, I'm saying it's a little too good for common.
It's definitely too good for common. I feel like it's not good enough for rare, though.
If you made it one more mana, I'd say common, but it's probably uncommon.
I would put uncommon down. Change one of its keywords. Okay, it's a good question. You are changing one of its keywords to another keyword. Which of the following color combinations? Okay, sorry. Let me restart. You're changing one keyword. Which combination of new keywords means it can't be monocolor? This is a good question. So we have Menace Prowess as the base. Lifelink Menace, Hexproof Prowess, First Strike Prowess, or Menace Vigilance. Which of those can't be monocolor?
Which of them can't be monocolor?
Yes. Which of those mechanic pairings is least likely to mean monocolor? So I definitely think First Strike and Prowess can be monocolor.
Yes,
I feel like because Prowess is primary blue, secondary red, tertiary white, and First Strike is primary white, so that's fine. Hexproof and Prowess is blue, so that's fine. So it's Menace and Vigilance or Lifelink and Menace.
What is green and white has Vigilance, or does anything else have it?
I don't. Green and white have Vigilance. And I don't think either of those have Menace. But I also don't think anything with Menace... Oh, black!
No. Green doesn't get Menace? Or am I
Green does, but also I think black could get Lifelink and Menace.
Yes.
I feel like it's Vigilance and Menace. But maybe it is Lifelink and Menace.
It might be Vigilance and... No.
Because I feel like having a thing... I also feel like it's weird in monocolor to have a thing that doesn't tap, but also attacks past 2 creatures. Or past 1 creature, you know what I mean? That doesn't feel like a monocolor thing could be.
It's definitely... So Menace is not green. It's black-red.
Yeah, green has Trample. Duh. Green has Trample.
There's like a couple creatures I'm thinking of that, like, have something like Menace, but it's not really. But Menace is
Probably.
not green at all.
So,
So
Menace Vigilance, is that our answer?
yeah,
I
yeah,
have no
that's
idea
our
if this is
answer.
right, but this is fun to talk about. This is just what I was going
Yeah.
for. What is the most appropriate color combination for this multicolored card? Come work for me temporarily. CMC4, sorcery. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap it. It gets +1/+1 and has haste proof, haste, hexproof, and trample. Well,
Sounds
it's
red-green.
Is it though?
Actually, no,
But
hold on.
hexproof.
Hold on. The trample can be covered by red, right? So it might be red-blue.
I think it's definitely red-blue because
So red covers the steal, it covers the haste, it covers the trample.
Theoretically, yes.
So the thing is, your hexproof is coming from either blue or green.
I think it's absolutely but there's also the +1/+1.
I think that's more green than.
But I feel like, oh man,
Like, don't get me wrong, blue could be an answer, but I feel like green fits better with what's being presented to us.
But is green primary? Like, does green in hexproof offset blue not getting the +1/+1? Because I feel like green hexproof is rare / something they don't even want to do as much anymore.
I don't know. They've done one like every set for the last four sets.
Fuck, fine, red-green. God damn it. It's official. What is the most appropriate rarity for said card? Definitely rare.
Yeah, it's rare. You don't want that showing up uncommon in draft.
Because also, but even...
It's not busted enough for Mythic.
Regular threaten effects are usually... Just steal a creature is uncommon. Base.
Yeah.
Oh... But it's
Wait,
CMC4.
What was their CMC? No, I could totally see this being rare.
I know, but I'm saying, is it rare or mythic rare? Because that's a lot of keywords.
It's only till end of turn, though, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's mythic.
I guess you couldn't really put a steal effect at mythic.
No, this is like a permanent steal.
Yeah, you're right. All right, that's
stuff.
rare. That's fair. All right, if we aren't planning to change this color combination, what changes are we least likely to make to the card? So they have 5 options here, so it's the same card. So if we don't change the color combinations, what change are we least likely to make? Change sorcery to instant, change haste to double strike, change +1/+1 to +2/+2, change trample to it can't be blocked with creatures power 2 or less, or change from hexproof to this creature must be blocked. Oh man, what change are they least likely to make if they aren't planning on changing the color?
I'm already forgetting the options here.
So, if they don't want to change the colors, what is the least likely thing they'll do to keep it in what we've established as red-green?
Okay.
Change sorcery to instant, haste to double strike, +1/+1 to +2/+2, trample to can't be blocked by creatures power 2 or less, or change hexproof to must be blocked.
I want to say maybe the power 2 or less. I don't think that's a green thing.
Making little things not block it?
Yeah, is that green's thing?
I feel like green, yeah, well, but oh, what are they least likely to make?
What are they least likely to
instant? I guess red is impulsive and instant.
If it was red-blue, maybe I'd say they could do it to an instant, but we're not red-blue.
I think this also kind of forces it into red-green is the answer, because too many of these don't make sense for red-blue. I want to say that the least likely change for them to make...
If you did double strike, I think it's taking too much away from green. Because double strike is red-white.
Double strike is not... Double strike's barely in red alone. Like, it's not really in red alone at all. It's much more of a white thing.
But like, if you took away trample, I think you'd lose grounds for saying this is a green card.
Yeah, but I think there's still the evasion of power 2 or less. Like, a big creature might just not even notice them is kind of the idea, you know? Like, green just kind of walks over them and they don't even know, like, they don't even stop the greenness of the card. Whereas I feel like double strike really destroys and needs to make this a 3-color, a Naya card.
Yeah. I think losing trample for double strike is probably the answer.
Yeah. No, losing haste for double strike.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It was a complicated one.
Oh.
Okay, so which of these... we'll only do a few more, like one or two more questions of this.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? The next 5 questions are the same thing for each color, and then we'll stop.
Okay.
Oh, but then there's Ravnica stuff. Fuck. Oh, that's an easy question. Sorry. Which of these phrases is a follower of White's philosophy least likely to say? Evil must be preemptively stopped. Violence is never preferred but is occasionally necessary. A system without structure is a system asking to fail. Sometimes the individual suffers so the larger group can thrive, or nothing can go wrong if you act from your heart. White would never say anything about acting from your heart.
Yeah, that one stands out.
White is about order and stability, but like there's a reason Azor is.
Your emotions shouldn't play a role. It's the last line. It's about good versus evil, not what you want. Like, if you're gonna keep that, like, evil must be defeated line.
But does White even want evil preemptively stopped? Does White act first, or is White always reactionary? Because I feel like White is often reactionary.
Wait, what was the exact wording on that line?
Evil must be preemptively stopped.
Oh, preemptively.
Must be. I don't feel like White hunts evil. White is just ready to deal with evil.
I don't know, because you've got stuff like players can't search their libraries. All the taxing effects are stopping you from doing things. I don't know if that plays into...
That's true, too. Fuck. It just feels weird about the nothing can go wrong if you act from your heart, because every color combination White touches, like, red, I guess, brings it to it. Green brings it to White. Green, like, maybe every color softens White, whereas blue enhances White, and so does black. So maybe it is the nothing from the heart.
That's what I think.
Fuck it. Nothing can go wrong if you act from your heart. Fine. Yeah, I guess White never brings that heart thing to the table. Fuck, that feels... Oh, okay. What is So here's the blue question. You are shaped more by your genes than your experience. Every person has the ability to become anything. Action should only follow thought. Tools are an important part of society. A fear of change is dangerous. It's absolutely shaped by your genes than your experience. Blue is all about the search for knowledge and bettering oneself.
Yeah,
Completely
blue doesn't care who you are.
They don't care who you are. You can always achieve anything through blue. Green is going to say that.
Yeah, that's green.
What are the... Okay,
Maybe
black. Sometimes you have to put others ahead of yourself. The difference between success and failure is a willingness to do what needs to be done. That's black. The weak serve a purpose. They are the resource of the strong. That's black. Only I choose what path I walk. Black. I didn't create the system. I just understand how to take advantage of it. Black. It's
okay, that first one was
ahead of
easy.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Does black ever really do
always
that?
wants ambition and its own self-gain.
Yeah.
Even if its own self-gain for... Like, Vraska wants gain, but she's Golgari. And that's what her greenness brings to the table. Her blackness doesn't bring that to the table at all.
Yeah.
Blackness is her desire for freedom and her own desire to do whatever she wants. But not... Yeah. Red. The fewer the rules, the better. A life without passion is a life unlived. Life is messy. Mistakes should be avoided at all costs. And the greatest regrets are about things you didn't do, not things you did. It's one of those last two.
Mistakes should be avoided at all costs. I don't agree with that. Red is always about, like, forget the mistakes. I'm trying to do something here.
Yeah, that's red. And then green. Key to happiness is accepting the world as it's meant to be. Adaptation is a slow process. All life is interconnected. You are born into your role, or killing for sport is just a part of life. What?
Well, hold on. I mean,
key to happiness is accepting that the world is as it's meant to be. That's green. Adaptation is a slow process. That sounds green. Life is interconnected is absolutely green. Maybe it's killing for sport. But hunters. Garrick was mono green for a long time.
He was, but he didn't have a lot of kill abilities till he turned black. Like, the thing about green is you kill because it's the way of life. You don't kill for fun.
Garrick
green
Primal
doesn't get
Hunter?
destruction spells.
Garrick Primal Hunter was before he was ever black at all.
What were his abilities on that?
I don't know, but the name of the card.
I'm trying to remember what exactly his abilities were. No, it was create a beast, draw cards, and then put a 6/6 worm token.
But he's still called Primal Hunter.
But he didn't hunt for sport. He hunted for food. Anyway,
hunted
the point
for sport, of course he did. He
the point is,
planeswalked to hunt.
Point is, there's a reason they made Garrett green-black. Green
because he got cursed, not because he changed character.
I think that line fits the most because green doesn't get kill spells. Things do kill each other in nature, but it's because they need to.
I just feel like Garrick. Whatever. Okay,
I know,
gonna do
but that
another one
naming
because you
convention's
said this.
All right.
If we were to bring back Battle Cry for Ravnica, what guild would get it? Selesnya, Boros, Rakdos, Azorius, Gruul. It's Boros. Boros gets Battle Cry.
Hold on.
Really?
Yeah.
You need to think about this?
I'm sitting here, I'm like, does Gruul get it? I'm like, no.
No way. Gruul does not get Battle Cry. It's
I'm
white.
thinking maybe. It is white.
It's primary white in Mirrodin.
It's got to be Boros then.
It's definitely Boros. Fuck it. Should we do a few more? We've been an hour and a half.
All right, one more.
All right. Which effect is usually seen on more instants than sorceries? Discard, land destruction, land fetching, direct damage, or reanimation? It's direct damage.
Is it?
You don't see discard ever. You never see reanimate.
Which is on more cards overall or more instant sorceries relative to all cards?
Sorceries.
More instants than sorceries?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably damage.
None of the reanimation, maybe. Land fetching, maybe.
No, land fetching was always sorceries.
Never. And discard never is at instant speed. Discard is always at sorcery speed, so you don't fuck with your opponent too much.
Yep.
All right, fuck it. 2 more. No, 3 more. No, 4, wait. 4 more.
Oh,
fuck
shit,
it.
we're out of questions.
Fuck you. These are all related, except for the first one. These are all tied to one. It's one more card block. All right, what is the biggest problem design-wise with this card? Long-acting giant growth. 2 green sorcery. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. At the beginning of your next upkeep, that creature gets +2/+2. At the beginning of your next upkeep after that, it gets +1/+1. 5 answers for the biggest problem design-wise with that card.
Oh, well, they have 5 answers. We need to pick which one? Or?
You need to tell them what is the biggest problem with that card. Spell should be an instant so it can work in combat. Requires you to track things for 3 turns without any way to mark it. Should let you target different creatures because the first one might die. Should get bigger over time, not smaller to build an excitement, or the spell is too cheap.
How much mana was it?
2 and a green.
And it starts off 3/3, then 2/2, then 1/1.
Yes, it is not too expensive.
I'd honestly say it's the tracking part is probably the hardest.
I definitely think, because bigger over time, not getting small, long-acting giant growth. It's just a giant growth that wears off over time. That makes sense. Spell being too cheap, it's not too cheap. In fact, this wouldn't see play outside of limited.
I don't know if they did something like put 3 1/1 counters, then remove 1/1 counter so it doesn't have any every time.
Sure,
like something
but
like
then it'd be busted.
Then it'd be busted. Well, no, but imagine like you had a card where it says put 3 1/1 counters on it, and this card gains at the beginning of your upkeep, remove a 1/1 counter from it. Something like that.
Yeah,
like one where you could track it maybe, and then you have to
on an enchantment or something like that. That would work.
Yeah.
Let you target different creatures? No. That doesn't... the spell should fizzle over 3 turns if you're going to do it for that long. That's a good restriction.
Yeah.
Being an instant would be overpowered.
That's a little busted.
And then tracking things. Tracking things for over turns is always the worst thing. All right, so now we have 1 card to deal with through the whole way through, and then we're going to stop. If this card was a hybrid creature, what creatures would it be? What colors would it be? Mysterio, CMC 4, XX, Flash... Power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your hand. Blue-black, white-blue, blue-red, black-red, or green-blue.
I mean, it feels like green-blue.
I mean, we basically have Tishana, who is this card without the card draw. Like, what,
yeah,
what do you want here?
Yeah.
The only thing you could argue for is blue-red, but we've clearly seen, like, outside of even Tishana...
I don't think there's an XX that isn't green.
That's true, too. Red would probably be differently done. I feel like Izzet wouldn't do this.
No.
Green blue for sure. What is the rarity?
XX for 4?
XX for 4 with flash. Equal number of cards in your hand. Does flash make this uncommon or is it common?
Does flash make it uncommon? Well, no, hold on. I would even consider this as rare.
Really?
Yeah. If this didn't have flash, maybe uncommon, but the fact that it's flash, I think bumps it up to rare.
I feel like they've been playing with things at common more. I don't think this could be common, but I don't see this as enough for flashy. Like, think about this. Is this, like, they print some garbage at rare, but at least rare designs are interesting. This doesn't feel nearly interesting. Tishana is a rare. Or am I crazy? I might be wrong. Hold on. I'm going to back that up. Nope, it was Mythic. I'm retarded. Every Mythic that does a more interesting version of this is, like, anything that does Zagana, Tishana, they are Mythic. But I feel like this loses enough that it's just power.
Generally speaking, if something has power and they put flash on it, they'll bump it up. You look at the 2/2 Death Toucher that has flash, that thing's a rare. It's not necessarily a very powerful.
Yeah, but it can also do things for other creatures. This is
the thing is what it does at flash is just really strong.
Yeah,
if you got rid of flash, you could bump everything down.
But this doesn't help itself grow, so it's probably going to be a 3/3 for 4 with flash.
Not always.
But usually, especially in limited, which is where it matters. In limited, you try to build on curve, which means this isn't actually that good.
Maybe you're right.
I feel like there's never a set where you want to see this at rare. You know what I mean?
No, this isn't a good rare, but I think it's too strong for uncommon.
Why? In limited, you don't have that much card draw mechanic.
No.
I feel like this never in limited goes beyond a 5/5 ever. And then it's just a 5/5 for 4 with flash for that one time, but after that it's nothing. Every rare bomb and mythic bomb should beat this. And it doesn't even have trample or anything. So even if you draw lots of cards, it doesn't mean anything. It's a one-time combat trick.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with uncommon. I feel like a case could be made for rare. I wish I could find the Reddit thread that had this to see. I wonder if it got removed because it was a link. Final question. What ability could be added to this creature without changing its colors? Use your answer from question 15, which was where we said it was a green-blue creature. So what could you add it without changing its colors? Card name can't be blocked by more than one creature. At the end of your turn, untap card name. Whenever it deals damage to an opponent, draw a card. Must be blocked if able, or whenever it dies, put a 1/1. Any creature dies, put a 1/1 counter on it.
It's the dies trigger, probably. Green-blue doesn't care about that.
No, what could be added without changing
colors?
I
thought it was what couldn't. Okay. So many of them. What was
deals
it?
Damage, draw a card.
Deals damage, draw a card.
Yeah.
That could be added without.
That would potentially bump it up to rare. Actually, yeah. Easy peasy. All right, we're done. That was 17 out of 75 questions.
And that is why none of us are Magic designers.
Nope. Not at all. All right, but I think we're going to end it there. We've talked about a lot of stuff today. We really went on for a while but it was good. I mean, set reviews should take a while.
Yeah, if you can get through it fast, it means there's something wrong with the set.
It means we weren't interested in anything, which is a problem because we spend lots of money on Commander stuff all the time.
Yeah, actually.
But yeah, I think we're going to end it here. We'll probably do another one of these once Dominaria is out because we'll probably have a lot to talk about for Dominaria. And we'll have Modern Pro Tour results from the banned and restricted list after the Modern Pro Tour.
Looking forward to that one.
So thanks for listening, everybody. This is Tim.
This is Friedman.
And we'll catch you guys back in a few days on the regular edition of the TNT podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye.